All right, we're back again with the Junker ATV, coming to you from our new portable garage courtesy of Harbor Freight, which is being utilized to store our power sports equipment. But as for the Junker ATV, today we're going to be doing a few upgrades in the form of, well, Mikuni clone carburetor stuff. Just like we did on the Kt196, we'll be adding this new carburetor and all of its associated hardware. Not sure which of these air cleaners I want to mess with. More than likely it's going to be this one here, because this one's kind of bulky. But we're going to be adding this stuff on here in place of the stock Predator 212 carburetor and associated air cleaner garbage, which there currently is no air cleaner on here. So that'll be an improvement right there, adding an air cleaner. But as anybody that's worked with a Predator 212 knows, those carburetors can be finicky sometimes once they get well broken in. But yeah, we're trying to go for a little bit of extra speed though by adding this new stuff on here. Make this thing a little bit more sketchier and more fun in turn. But first thing I really want to do is get this thing fired back up and try to do a couple of test runs to see how this thing actually fares in its quote-unquote stock formation. So go ahead and fire this thing up and hit the gravel, and let's see what we could turn up. My phone overheated on me and I lost the footage I recorded after our test, but we did have a problem with the carburetor that required me to open it up and clean the float bowl out because it started to fall on its face around 2000 RPM. After cleaning it out and getting the carburetor back together, I was able to wind this thing up to get a top speed of about 31 miles per hour. Now, further tuning might have also stopped the rapid deceleration and stalling problem that we experienced on the first leg of that run. But as is the case with these little carburetors on these 212 engines and similar engines, they could be finicky and you sometimes have to play around with them. But all in all, with our baseline numbers established, we got a top speed of 31 miles per. We can go ahead and install our Mikuni hardware and the other stuff we want to upgrade, so we can go ahead and get this thing back on the gravel and see what kind of improvements we've made as a result. So stand by. company over here while I was installing everything. Hey, Piggy, look up! But, yeah, we have our Mikuni hardware installed, and still using the same fuel filter and cutoff valve and everything. Everything was able to reach the new stuff. Even our throttle was able to reach. But, with the carburetor in place, everything kind of locked down and all, I can at least write that part off. The other thing that I decided to take a moment to do was correct our chintzy exhaust system. I took off the old cobbled together crap and added some new cobbled together crap. I had some tubing from a pressure washer frame that I was able to cut up and weld up into a nicer bend exhaust system going out of the back. Of course, there's no muffler yet. So, and this is bigger pipe too, so this thing's going to be able to flow a lot more exhaust gas than the old system. And it's going to be louder, of course. But along with that, I also took a moment to swap in a 8-degree advanced timing key on the flywheel. There was no need to show that because we've already covered that with the Kt196, so I just put that in off camera. But with all that said and done, the only other thing I'll have to do is, still gotta lock down that governor lever. I didn't feel like taking the engine off and breaking all that stuff down inside. I will do that later. But with that, I'll go ahead and fire this thing up, see what kind of tuning I need to do, and we'll go for a ride. Okay, had a hiccup trying to get this thing started initially. After playing around with it, I ended up finding out that the advanced timing key that I put in there had actually gotten sheared, probably when I was going through the torque sequence to torque the flywheel down. It probably just snapped the thing and had it out of time so bad that it would never run. So I had to put the original timing key back in there and again carefully torque the thing down, which we've covered that in another video. And of course, once that was all done and everything reassembled, this thing started right up. Now, I did some initial tuning as far as idle and fuel air mixture adjustments, and so far it seems like it takes the throttle pretty good. Got it to idle with an open choke, so the only thing left to do now is test ride this thing and hopefully not have to keep tweaking this thing. But if so, it is what it is. Stand by. Our stock carburetor had an 85 or a 90 main jet in it, which netted us a 34 mile an hour top speed, plus 3 from our initial test. I tried to use some jets from a kit to increase the main jet size to see if we could get more power out of this thing, and at about a 125 jet, our speed dropped down to 30 miles per hour, which is -1 from the initial test, and higher than that, the engine just acted worse and worse. Went back down to a 90 jet and recovered our 34 mile an hour top speed. I had to adjust the idle screw to keep the engine from stalling out from a rapid deceleration from wide open throttle with an open choke. With that taken care of, we found a happy medium in our adjustments in order to consistently get 33 to 34 miles per hour top speed without stalling out. Now, with that, we're going to end it here as far as the work, because our main focus was the carburetor and our exhaust. There's plenty more I could do to this thing to try to get a little more juice out of it, like work on the valve train and so forth, but we will not cover that here. Now, one other thing I will have to mention that I will probably work on well before I do any more engine improvements is, because of our carburetor sticking out the way it is, I will have to fabricate some type of larger footrest to accommodate my foot on the right side, and do the same on the left side to keep things symmetrical, and still have to put a seat on here so this thing will be more comfortable to ride. But that will not be happening here because we're pretty much done. So as usual, hit the like button. Likes are free. Subscribe because we appreciate the subs, and it'll help that algorithm shoot us out to more people. And hit the notification button so you can be kept in the loop for when we drop more videos on this machine or any other power sports equipment we might be working on. And check out TikTok as well if you feel like it, website as well. And just stay tuned because there will be more to come on this machine. So I'm gonna get on inside so I don't burn up out here, and I will catch you later.